well, the best kind of surprise one could ever have, which is Tingana feeding off his kill. So I think Byron was still half asleep this morning when he came past Tingana in this tree, because he's under the exact same tree we left him last night, busy feeding off the last of the scraps. So I think I might not know. Byron a few months ago gave me trouble about the difference between an impala, which had an impala kill, and I thought it was a nyala, and gave me lots of trouble about. But Byron, at least I actually saw an animal and not just drive right past it. So I believe Byron was here this morning looking for Tingana and came here and said there was no leopard. But quite clearly, there is a leopard that is still crunching away on the last of that skull, just getting rid of what's left over. So there's definitely still a little bit of meat. He's got a nice round kind of belly. He's still a little skinny, and but he's looking better. He certainly looks a lot more full of life. There's a little bit more life in those eyes than what we saw the other day. So I mean, he's lost a lot of condition, but hopefully we'll kind of pick up a lot of it again pretty soon. He's obviously an older male, and so in time he should. But look at that belly. The belly's a little bit more round. Still a little skinny, though. He could definitely put on a bit more muscle and a bit more kind of weight, that's for sure. But an impala will go a little bit of a way to doing that. I wonder if this male lion didn't get some of it. There are little bits all over the place, so it seems as though he's managing to find some nutrients, and even though that doesn't look like a lot of nutrients, it's going to be pretty beneficial for him in the long run to kind of keep going and feeding off that and getting a little bit out of the scraps. Now that's the lower jaw that he looks like he's got his paw on, and I'm not sure what else he's feeding on, but let me just move so that Viam doesn't have to deal with this big log that's in front of his face. So I'm just going to go in here a little bit, Viam. Let me just try and get round. Hold on, Viam, sorry. There we go. How's that, Wildy? Better. There we go. So that's much better. Now we don't have his face obscured by a massive branch. It's much easier to actually see him. Very good, though. It's awesome to catch up with Tingy. He's always such a kind of beautiful cat, and those eyes are still as good looking as ever. Like I say, he's not his former self in a lot of ways, but that can be gained pretty quickly, and I'm just glad he's actually got some of this meal, and hopefully he managed to get a fair amount last night, and hopefully he'll be able to get a bit from this. There's lots of impalas around, and so I'm hoping that maybe he gets to catch some of those. But this male lion definitely climbed this tree last night, so Viam, if you can just quickly go onto the tree for me. I hope the bar's not in the way. It is exactly where I don't want it to be, but you can see just to the right of the bar there's actually scarring of where that lion climbed the tree. I'll try and show you guys. There you go, big deep gouges that went in, so it definitely did climb up and go into the tree, and I wonder if it maybe took some of this carcass and then he's just feeding off what the lion left behind. I'd be surprised though if a lion left any of this. Maybe what happened was the lion went halfway up and decided I can't actually get the rest of the way and came back down again, but there's definitely signs of that lion going up into the tree. There's big gouges, like I say, all the way up, so it seems as though it did go up at least some of the way. It might not have just gone all of the way, because I see there's a little bit of fur also still attached to the tree up at the top, but there's some ribs as well, and nothing like a little rib action. On a Friday afternoon, it was a Thursday, sorry, should I say, it's not Friday, so it's Thursday, and a little rib action on a Thursday is not the worst thing at all. Very cool. Well done, Tingy. Considering there was a male lion here, I think he's done quite well to at least get some of this, which is very cool. Now, I believe a lot of you are happy to see Tingana. I'm sure you are. And like I say, he does look as though he's a little better, doesn't he? He seems to be kind of a bit more full of life. I obviously suppose he's got food, and so he's busy feeding on it, but he seems as though he's a little bit more full of life. There's definitely a little bit more kind of weight around those hip area, and so I think he's hopefully going to start coming back into the fray and start to kind of dominate again. He's got lots of work to do. He's lost a lot of ground in this little period where he's kind of been under the weather, and so he needs to get his strength back and get himself nice and big and well built again, and then come back and chase Hukamuri off towards the west and keep him at bay for a while longer. It's important because, as I was mentioning yesterday afternoon, so many of the little cubs around are Tinganas, and so it's very important that Tingana does what he needs to do in order to keep those cubs safe and healthy, and so that we can see a next generation come through, and particularly because a lot of the cubs are females. So, Shadow's cub, Tundi's cub, those are little girls, and so we want them to stick around. We've lost so many of our females in terms of Salesh, Shongile's missing, Karula, so it would be nice just to have another female coming back into the area and growing up around us that we know comes from the Karula lineage. So it will be good if he can stick it out for a little while longer and get back to his former self. There's another little rib he's found. It's almost like little pub snacks that he's found inside the grass, and there's a few other little things. I can see still some of the skull that's lying around. That's about it. I don't see any more legs or anything. I think he's probably chomped most of that down already. In all fairness, though, I'm pretty sure when Byron came here this morning, he maybe had gone for water, and now he's just kind of arrived back. You never know. Or he could have been hiding in one of the thickets close by. It's not exactly a very open clearing exactly where he's lying. If he goes off the track where the cars are parked, it's actually quite tough to see him. So we'll give Byron a reprieve in that regard, but it's just like to give him a little bit of trouble anyway. It's always part of the fun when Byron and I are together, is that there's lots of banter that takes place. But here he comes again. Look, you can see he's kind of searching around, hoping for more. His belly is fairly full there, so he must have got at least some of that impala, or if not most of it. He's got a round appearance. He's definitely at least had a decent meal, which will go a long way. Never, Byron. I would never evil laugh you at all. I'm sad that you didn't get to see a leopard. I would have liked for you to have seen a leopard to get your spirits up, given that you've had to put your soggy shoes on this afternoon and ditch your stops behind. So I'm sorry that you didn't get to see a leopard. I was hoping that you were going to, and I definitely didn't even tell Byron where it was because he didn't ask. So if Byron had asked very nicely, I would have told him exactly where. Oh, listen to that. Now, if you're a bit squeamish, probably best to look away, because that's a head that is being crunched like that. So you can see the teeth there that have still got some vegetation in them, which gives you an idea of how fresh that is. So it doesn't look like a fully grown impala, given those teeth are very sort of white, still quite sharp, and also just the size of that skull inside the sort of paws of Tingana. It looks like this must have been a young female impala, so potentially one that was maybe born not in this season, but maybe last season of lamb, so in November, December of, not last year, the year before. Could be one of those. That's what the kind of size it looks like, so a year and a bit old impala that he's managed to catch. Curtis, your fruits and predators, it does happen with things like jackals. So jackals will actually eat jackalberry fruits, hence the name jackalberry. But leopards I've never seen eating marula fruits. You can see he eyes them out and just ignores them completely. I've never seen lions eating fruits either, so I would say no. The answer to that is that the big cats definitely no, but things like jackals, yes, they will sometimes. You'll find can eat fruits as well, but they are considered more omnivorous than they are carnivorous, and that's basically what those mean. So omnivores are obviously animals that will eat both fruits and meat, whereas carnivores is pretty much strictly a meat diet. And I would be very shocked if Tingana picked up a marula and ate it, but maybe he should eat some. Maybe help with his condition, get him sorted. What do you think? I think maybe a few marulas might do him some good. It certainly does our elephants good. Now, talking about elephants, let's send you back to Ellie, who seems as though she's found an Ellie of her own to complete an Ellie trifecta this afternoon. We are indeed. So this is why I was saying that this is a great place for Tingana to be. Now with a little bit of extra energy from eating this impala, you can see that there are loads more impalas that are hanging about. The airstrip is always a place where lots of impalas will be. They'll spend most of their nights in this area, and many a leopard has hunted in this section. Now, this particular impala was obviously one of those that drifted from one of the open clearings towards a thicket, and that's why it was grabbed and then pulled up into the tree and obviously fed upon. And so I'm sure Tingana, if he wants to be successful, maybe just spends another bit of time in this area. Maybe he'll get another impala for himself to feed. Conditions are perfect for hunting and for going after prey animals, so I wouldn't be surprised he does it again. But he's still tucking into the skull. He's getting every last little bit of nutrients that he can. I think he's been a hungry cat, and so, you know, every bit that he can get is going to be vital for him in terms of getting back to himself. So he needs to eat as much as he can and feed off every last morsel that is here. Now, we were looking up into the tree just to see if there was anything more, and all we could see was just a bit of fur up there, so I don't think there's any more meat in the tree itself. He eyes the tree every now and then. It'd be nice to see if he actually does go up, but you can see VM's just trying to sort of have a look and see if he can find anything. Nothing there. I think it's on the branch just above VM, which is hidden from view by our pesky roof. But anyway, at least he's down on the ground and kind of feeding nicely for us, which is wonderful. In action, and at least, like I say, I mean, he's not looking great, but he's at least looking better than what he was, and food is going to be a huge help to get him sorted out. Now, you can see Dan, it's always a debate as to how old leopard cubs need to be for, you know, new males not to kill them. It's tough to say. It depends a lot on the male that moves into the area, but generally, as long as she can kind of pretend like she can mate with him or can mate with him, then he's normally not too dangerous. But if you take Chitwa as an example, she's quite an interesting one because she distributed onto Cheetah Plains when she was about 2 years old, or just under 2 years old, and Quarantine came across her a few times and left her alone. So Quarantine obviously thought, well, she'll be mating potential and a female, and so it's not really a worry. So normally, I suppose, if they can get to about 2 years old, then they're normally seen by the males as okay. The problem is the females also got to deal with other females, and so they've got to find themselves a territory that doesn't house too many females. Now, it sounds like there's some ellies moving behind us as well. They're not visible at the moment. You can just hear them. You can see he's also looking in that direction, so I think there are some ellies. Ah, there they are, right there. Well done, Vildi. So we've got elephants and leopard in the same sighting, which is very cool. And the elephants are moving away from this area, so Tingy's fine. He's not going to have his meal disrupted, which is a good thing because we don't want him to be chased by the ellies because he's going to then be seen. Well, the ellies have come in, so they've pushed Tingana off now, and they've kind of come in to start feeding on all of these marulas. They want the marulas, and there's Tingana just sneaking around in the bush behind us. He's lying in there. You wouldn't know it, but he is in there. There he is. There's his head just sticking up above the grass, and so he's had his meal interrupted very shortly by our one-tusked elephant female. She's been around quite a bit recently, and her whole herd is going to head in this direction. She's probably going to push us away too, because we're parked on top of some marulas as well, and she's going to sniff around, and I'm pretty sure when she gets close here, she's not going to be too happy because she's about to smell death. She's going to pick up the scent of this impala head and ribs and those kind of things, and it's probably going to make her feel a little uneasy. I'm surprised she hasn't kind of gone at Tingana. She saw him very clearly. He walked out right in front of her, and she saw him, and she just doesn't really care too much. It's normally the case when it comes to leopard, is that elephants are not that fussed about leopards at all. They tend to be far more worried about lions than anything else. But how cool is this to be able to have an ellie with a leopard on a sighting? I think it is very, very cool, if you ask me. And there you can see the marulas, so I think VM's hoping that our ellie is going to come suck them up very, very quickly as we sit and enjoy our ellie. So she's just giving us a shake, probably because we're sitting on top of the marulas, or so she can smell probably that dead impala, which is just making her a little bit more feisty, and there's also a couple bulls apparently playing behind us. Now, Tingana is going to have himself a bit of an issue because lots more Ellies are coming. I want to just turn the car a bit better so that Liam's got a better shot of what's going on. He doesn't have to shoot with the aerial behind him, because the Ellies, the whole herd is coming in this direction, and Tingy's going to have to make a little bit of a movement and move out the way. Now, we call him Tingy sometimes because of his kind of name. It's a little shortened nickname. So there he is in the grass. Ellie's all coming in front of me, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have to move fairly shortly because he's about to get a pachyderm invasion. Look, there's an elephant coming straight towards where Tingana is. So Tingana's in the grass, elephant right there, and he's actually being cornered a little bit. Here comes another elephant coming from the side. Where is he going to go? He's going to have to break cover and maybe run towards us, which is going to get the elephants a little bit more sort of frustrated by all of this. He's trying to probably keep himself quite low. All the Ellies are just on his right-hand side, so he's literally holding his nerve with elephants no more than, I would say, 3-4 meters from him in places. There you can see some of them in front of us as well. Now, one elephant is walking straight towards him. Let's see if he moves. There they come. You see them there? No, there he goes. So you see him running from the Ellies. Now comes the big females. They're going to chase him. So I'm pretty sure he's going to have to try and get up. Look at this. How's that? That is ridiculous. Did he make it up into the tree, Viam? I can't see where Tingana went. The Ellies are all very upset. So I'm going to try and catch up with Tingana. They all obviously are not happy that an elephant just went bursting through past their calves. Now, I don't see them up in the tree. The females are going to be quite grumpy. They're not going to be happy. So I'm going to have to just watch some of the females as well. But how in that chase, did you hear the trumpeting from those elephants? Very, very unhappy Ellies, that's for sure. That was very cool. Now, let's just try and see if we can try and get to where Tingana went. Hopefully our signal's going to stay because we're going to head deeper into Chitwa a little bit and further south. Now, the last time I